pleasure to be with you again for another episode of Universal Energies. Before I introduce my guest today, who is a visionary psychic medium, we're going to find out all about her life, her faiths, her understandings, beliefs, and other side of her life. So without further ado, let me welcome you, Claire Batey.
Morning.
Good morning. This is very intriguing. I'm sure that my listeners will want to know about your visionary psychic mediumship. So let me ask you to explain.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I'm not a massive fan of labels. So the reason I could go under medium or psychic or a visionary as such, but the reason I kind of put them together is just to allow people to find me, if you know what I mean, to be able to come and see it.
Very good.
And so, because, you know, it's only a small aspect of who I am, actually. You know, I am.
You are. And I do realise, not only do you do this, but you're very good at psychic art as well. So that's all together. So let's take the visionary bit.
Okay. Well, basically, I was putting myself out there as a medium to begin with, to be honest with you. And as I began to work and the more people that came, the way that I was being worked with, let's say, and the way that my awareness, my own awareness, I thought, you know, there's more. There's so much more than being a medium. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong in being
I do
a medium.
understand where you're coming from.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, being a medium has got a label to it. So therefore it's quite limiting within itself, if you can understand.
Yes, I do.
So therefore, I thought, well, what am I all about? Who am I? And that is my main drive in life, to be honest with you. It's like, who am I, you know, at depth. But it's not just about, that sounds very self-centered.
No, not at all.
However, when I decided to take responsibility for myself and ownership of who I am at emotional depth and spiritual depth, which I believe actually both merge together, I thought to myself, or it began to impress upon me that actually, I've forgotten the question that you asked me. About being a visionary, that's
yes.
right. So it's about really, there's just so much more to life. There's so much more. It put me in a job, in a category, if you know what I mean. And I thought, actually, I bring this awareness into my everyday being, into the way that I live my life.
Yes.
And so therefore, you know, it allows me, if I put the word visionary upon it, it allows me actually at a deeper level to create my life the way I wish to lead my life. And therefore, coming away from myself, my passion is also about people, humanity as a whole, and I am very driven and very passionate about who people are and about people discovering that at depth. You know, it's not really about what car you've got, what house you've got, what job you've got, what history you know, what geography you know, what intellect you've got.
That's
knowledge is very helpful. Knowledge is very, very helpful, but it's not who we are.
No, it's not, no. When I asked you about visionary, and thank you for that, what you just said, let's talk now about your understanding of your psychic drawings, or your psychic art, or how does it make you feel? How does it resonate with you?
It's very interesting the way that you've put a spin on that as it being psychic art, because for me, I wouldn't put it as that, if you know what I mean. That's not quite how I see it. I would see, like the way I first began to get into art was purely for a self-development process. It's a way, or continues to be actually, a way for me to express myself, my humanistic self, and also my spiritual self, kind of sometimes merging together. Sometimes I will kind of be focused in one or two, in separate entities, if you like, which they're not, but depending on my mindset and where I am or what needs to be expressed, is how I will work with that. So it's more of it's therapeutic value as well. So I first I work with colour. So emotions and colour, they've both got their own energy and they kind of match up with one another.
Everything I do, everything is an energy. I do understand
Everything.
that. But what I was trying to get to, so you must understand that the people watching this are going to wonder if were you trained as an artist, or
Absolutely not.
Well, therefore,
I am very creative at core.
So the creativity comes from somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. Of course it does, and it is my internal. It is an extension of my soul.
Yes, yeah.
An extension of my soul and an extension of my being. But I allow myself to be quite human in that as well. Yeah. That's how I discovered it, in a sort of a human sense. And then through the art, through self-exploration, came a depth of understanding of its spiritual core value, which is within me. It's my divine nature to be creative.
That's why I was drawn to you in the first place.
Okay.
You mentioned energies, and I'm very much energy to energy. I see people, as you do, as energies rather than people. Yes, but I see them, I'm sure you do too, as I look through to them, I see them through their emotions, and I see them through their deep understanding. People will call this higher self, if you like, or your intuitive self, or putting it down to grassroots gut reaction, if you like. But whatever it is, it's something that we all have, that it's like a little voice inside us wanting to burst out and come out and tell us we can do. We aren't structured to be in one place at a certain time to do a certain thing the rest of our lives. We have all our potential to go out there, and that's why I was drawn to you in the first place, because of your energy.
Change is constant.
It does.
Change is a constant. That which is our life, at soul value, is the only thing that is not changeable.
Yeah.
Everything changes, and I just think, it grabs my attention. We do not beat our heart, we do not grow our fingernails, we do not cut our hair. You try asking your fingernails to stop growing. There's something within human beings that has a creative spark, a creative force, and that inside of us is, we have a unique aspect of that. We are all divine beings. That is my passion, that is my drive. Yes, I do mediumship, yes, I'm a psychic. They are parts of who I am. They are parts of the way that I express myself, parts of the way that I work with people and for people in the handing over of myself for highest good is what I do. But my ultimate drive and my ultimate passion is for others to experience and realise who they truly are at depth, so that they can, or so that we can all just be.
Absolutely.
And express.
Absolutely, and I do understand exactly what road you're walking, and it's such good, because we need people to walk on that road. We are all, if you like, psychic. We all have a psychic understanding.
Without doubt.
We all have a spiritual understanding of some kind. Even if we call ourselves a complete, what we would say, atheist, we have a spiritual understanding that something, somewhere, maybe we're using it as a conscience or our intuitive self, but something, somewhere, is a little voice inside us telling us what is right and what is wrong.
And that will be unique for each and every individual.
Yeah, but we all have this somewhere along the line. Not everybody will decide to follow it, and not everybody will decide to do what they know is right. But as an individual, the choices are ours, and we have that choice.
And I don't see any right and wrong in that.
No.
I see as each and every individual as, actually, we're all serving one and each other.
We are.
We are a whole thing, we are a oneness. And I think if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for Bob and Dick and Harry, we couldn't actually experience who we are at core depth. We all need one another to understand our selves, or where we are uniquely at. And I feel that's why with spirituality or Christianity or whichever form of religion or spirituality, spiritualism we want to look at, for me they are labels. In my understanding, there's so much historical process attached to that and to those words that, for me personally, they don't work. For me personally, I feel that every single person is looking for personal growth or fulfillment or peace or enrichment or for better. We are all in search of something. We are all in search of that. Now, some people might find that through what they call as God or a religion. For me, I feel like it's an awareness. We're all in search of the same thing, and all religions actually have got the main core. They're all exactly the same, but they have different names.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that one.
It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
And I feel that human process has gotten in the way of religion because there have become certain rules and certain things attached to religion, whereas in actual fact that is just a conditioning of the human mind and a condition of ancestral processes and all of these things, which in actual fact are not the core of our soul.
No, they're not. We have been dictated to and controlled from an early age ourselves, and through history, as soon as we get to a point whereby, in layman's terms today, it's a money-making situation, because the control comes into it, and the dictation comes into it, and unfortunately, that religion as a whole, no matter what it happens to be, has the label put on it of control and dictation.
So I like to personally come away from that, and I like to experience people as individuals, as in, we all have our own historical process which will influence our mind actually, and so therefore I think by working, like from my own perspective, I feel that by me working with my mind, because I had no choice but to work with my mind, because I could not live the life in the mind any longer. It was too painful, too destructive, and just not purposeful or meaningful, meaning that I get hurt and in turn unknowingly and maybe sometimes knowingly have hurt others, which now when I look back on my life, I have found great compassion through an emotional depth of work with myself on a humanistic level to re-parent and recondition my mind actually. So therefore, bringing the mind, the human mind, so the human self into alignment with source or soul, or whichever you want to call it. Some may call it God, some might call it source, some might call it an awareness, or there are so many words, angels, fairies, so many things. And from my own process as well, I think, what's right for any one person in any one time is what matters. With my own faith in things, or my own hope, whatever we want to call it, I've begun working with the elementals, if I'm honest with you, and the fairy realm, and really got tuned in with that aspect of exploring my own divinity and my own soul and my own connection with all that is, which is actually unnamed, which is to me a very beautiful connection, one that I hold very dearly.
Yeah, I'm sure, and that's.
And working through that, I then came to be introduced to the angelic realms, working with angels and working on that side of things. And then I became very aware and met my spiritual team and my spirit guides, and then went and worked in that realm, not forgetting the others. It's they're all kind of uniquely and beautifully, harmoniously working together with my awareness actually, because that's what this is, that's what we're talking about, is an awareness of everything. And then working with people in the spirit world, on a humanistic, our loved ones that have passed over, like on a mediumship link, but also, very wise and profound masters or ascended masters, sages, whatever words we want to put on them, because they are only words after all, being introduced to that philosophy or that way of life, and working with myself with that kind of energy or that vibe. And now I work straight with source. You know, I am very humbled to be in a position of surrender that I am much more aware in my everyday life. Like, this is not just my work, this is my life. This is the way that I choose to live my life and to bring my 4 children up and my grandson. This is the way, you know, and with the art, you know, now when I look at my art, like if I've had to really, I need it, and my music, you know, I'm a musician. I need that expression, it's part of the core of who I am. And so, therefore, like, when I've produced a piece of artwork and I sit and look at it in presence, with presence, in a state of just being, without judgment, I receive so much wisdom and profound insight into my life, or into the life as a whole, as in humanity, for which, you know, I am truly blessed, actually. I feel very, very humbled for that.
So can you put a finger on when you first started on your...
It's really very, very interesting that you asked that question, because, you know, with my upbringing, or not my upbringing actually, because that kind of places it on my parents.
Let me just hold you there for a minute. Let me just say that I asked you when you first started, really, but was there a faith or an understanding that there was the ground roots that you had, and perhaps you were indoctrinated into this way of thinking when you were young?
I didn't particularly have any religion or any way of thinking. I wasn't brought up in a family that was particularly religious, although having said that, you know, my dad is of Christian belief and has gone to church from time to time, but it wasn't something that I was brought up in, or it wasn't talked about an awful lot, or anything of that nature. However, when I look back on my life, there have been so many symbols and signs there for me, working with the natural world or the natural way of things, but again, working with my thought process in a very creative way. For example, growing up through one summer, every morning, no word of a lie, was a dead bee on my carpet in my bedroom in exactly the same place, and it was always gotten rid of, and there was, you know, we didn't have a bee's nest or anything like that. I never thought an awful lot to it until, you know, kind of dibbling and dabbling in shamanic ways and, you know, working with my own power animals and things like this, that I realised the significance of that for my life now, which is in itself synchronicity, which in itself truly enriches me and my life. You know, it's the simple things in life that give me such pleasure and such joy. Like driving here today in presence was a very beautiful drive here, and just watching a leaf float and dance in front of me up to the road was kind of quite blissful, if I'm honest with you. And having lived a life of such emotional pain and upset to the point where, you know, questioning life itself and my own existence, you know, stripping myself back that much, just gave me such a sense of peace and joy this morning. It's the simple things in life.
It is very much the simple things in life, and I'm sure that our viewers understand that, and that's why they watch, and that's why they want to understand more about the universe and the energies that surround us all, and us being vibrating energies.
Absolutely.
Joining with one another, and we had that brief conversation this morning. My belief is that until we get to a stage whereby we realise that we are all energies, no matter what shell we happen to be in, this world and the other worlds that are around us will not come anywhere near close together, and there can't be harmony or peace until we start to understand that we need love for our fellow surroundings and fellow men as well.
Well, first and foremost, in my understanding and in my belief, this first and foremost needs to come from within, for ourselves. from my experience, this is I am just talking from my heart here, from me, and I feel by working with myself at great therapeutic depth on a humanistic level. We are in a human body. We are human beings,
absolutely.
and we have a mind for a reason. It's actually a very beautiful instrument and a beautiful tool to allow us to co-create actually, and to live a life that we have got a part in. Like I'm saying, we're not letting life do us. We are being life itself. We are life. And unfolding that and being part of that creative process, which comes under the word visionary. If I didn't answer that very clearly this morning, going around the houses a little bit.
I have ways of drawing things out.
Yeah, that's it. So, it's, I could talk on this subject for hours and hours and days. It's my passion, it's my life, it's my very essence of who I am. And I know that my purpose in life is to hopefully enable and facilitate and empower others to find themselves as well.
Right. Let me ask you the same question in a roundabout way again. Was there some specific moment in your life when you felt as though this is what I want to do, and this is me, and this is my structure in my life to help others?
Do you know what? That hasn't just been a light bulb moment and a click it on moment. This has been for me a process of self-discovery, self-development, self-learning, understanding, and being a part of a much bigger picture, and understanding and learning from that. Like I say, sort of humbling myself and surrendering almost to being retaught, reparented, reconnected, rediscovering, remembering. We all have this within our soul actually. It was kind of said to me, I found it really, really interesting that, you get a bank card, coming back right down to human earth for a moment, and you get the little holographic stamp on it. If that was smashed and obliterated into millions and billions of pieces, if you shone a light onto just one part, one aspect, one little bit, that the whole picture would still show up. Now, to me, I find that incredibly beautiful and powerful, and that is how I see human beings, as a part of a whole, like a part of God, source, awareness, whatever we want to call it, presence, whatever relates to us uniquely. Personally, I find it unnameable. It's not. It's felt. It's a feeling.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. I have to look at the prospect of giving the listeners the tools. They know my background, where I came from.
Yeah.
They know what's happened in my life from doing what I do for many years, doing it full time now, and doing it in the future, in the past full time, but also working with vulnerable and very weak-willed people in a prison environment. Seeing people that are seeing the spirit leave the body, completely leave the body. Seeing some nasty things that have occurred, and listening to other things that have occurred by people who are quite notorious. Not judging, and finding it, that is very hard statement to say, not judging, when you look at the individual.
I would understand where you're coming from, and I know this to be a great difficulty for the human mind to have a concept or a grasp on. I can understand that. However, if we wish to tune into a present source, and we are working with ourselves on a humanistic level of creating non-judgment with the self, because we knew no better are in our lifetimes, and those people that have what we might have classed at one, what I might have classed at one time wronged me or did wrong by me, coming through abuse, or many, we've all got our historical processes. I'm not about to get into that this morning.
No.
However, I just feel that personally on my level, coming from a place where I understand that I knew no better, and others know better. They're coming from a point of their own conditioned mind through their own historical process, which is individual and also collective, but also has been going on for years and years before our lifetime even. So therefore, a lot of people feel that they're actually doing the right thing. People feel that it's the right thing that they're doing, or they know no better of what they're doing because it's self-protection.
Yeah.
Or there's so many angles that we could come
I do
from.
realise.
In my understanding of my teachings, through channeling, if you like, if that's a word that can be tangible, is that all serves. We are all wanting, on a soul level, on a deep soul level, forgetting the mind for one moment, to come closer to Source and to be at one with Source.
I do agree.
And therefore, everything has its purpose. And if you watch, even the most painfulest of things, what can come off that? And gradually, all of these things actually, but for the want of the way things work naturally, will come back closer into alignment with Source.
I know exactly where you're coming from, but I'm also looking at the people who view the editorial.
Sure.
From people of all backgrounds, not knowing at all. There's a lot of people who will look at us today and think, well, this is very airy-fairy what you are saying because of this, that and something else. And I do appreciate what they're saying quite understandingly. What I meant by when I was saying that is that, and I understand what you're saying, that it all comes from the Source. They want it in black and white, if you like, people do today, whereby I can ask you straight away is, what do you mean by the Source? And you can tell me from your own perspective, and that's fair enough, because you can't tell me from a wider perspective, because at the end of the day then the Source could encompass all kinds. It could be a God.
The Source is everything.
Yes,
the Source is
yeah.
you, the Source is me, the Source is the floor, the sky.
Now at the end of the day, then that's not going to sound too tangible for people who hadn't...
It's not tangible, it's nameless, it's formless.
It is.
Yet embodied in us as
yes,
human beings or as in animals.
It is. So how do you think you can give people the tools to find that understanding within themselves?
Well, listen, as I said earlier, we are all very unique. These, what I have described, or not, as it may be, is my own process and very unique to me. So I can share that in the hope that it might spark something off, but we will all uniquely have our way. I just believe that it's self-discovery, it's looking inside, expressing of the self that will ultimately bring us into, by clearing our stuff out of the way, our historical processes, giving back, all this negative chitter-chatter that's going on in the mind, by actually beginning to observe that, beginning to observe the negative chatter in the mind and questioning it. Where has it come from? Because you can bet your bottom dollar it has not come from a depth. Because when we get something from a depth, our soul level, or our connection, or this Source, or whatever we want to call it, God, then it's only going to be of good and of positivity and of nurturing and compassion and love and humility, actually. And so therefore, if anything is negative, it's actually, it's key. It's our feelings and our emotions are a great tool to us, because they will tell us that something's not right. It's not sitting right because we're feeling down, or we're feeling negative, or not so great about ourselves. So therefore, I feel by beginning to be an observer of the mind, and ultimately if we keep questioning ourselves over and over again, we will find out where that has come from, and it will be of historical process, which therefore we can then give that back, because it doesn't actually need to be part of our process anymore. It's not part of who we are. And it's almost like a reteaching of self. It's a reteaching. Like every year that we've got within us from being on this earth plane in this life here, we hold with us.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And they need listening to. You know, there might be, if you're feeling like a bit anxious or a bit fretful about something, it might not be Rob of 2016. It might be 10-year-old Rob in there going, "Help! I can't do this today."
Oh, yes,
and therefore, we are observing the chatter of the mind. We are observing where that sits from. Where has that sound come from? Where has that feeling come from? And then nurturing that, not from a higher self, from a connection of tangible, you know.
I know exactly what you mean.
And a reparenting, and that takes time. That takes commitment, and that takes a different way of living life. And that is what I have committed myself to. I want to take responsibility for myself. You know, I want to be responsible, and I feel that if we could each be uniquely responsible for ourselves, you know, that the only way of us each taking singularity responsibility. If you want to help the world, you want to help humanity, know yourself inside out, back to front.
Oh, yeah, what a lovely statement. Yeah. Let me ask you now about the other side of your life.
Sure.
But before I do, let me just say, listeners, that Claire is offering some understanding through courses. No doubt at the end of this programme on the credits, you'll be able to see all the information that you need. And if not, you can contact me anyway, and I can pass on the messages to Claire. But anyway, let's just say that. Tell me about the other side of your life and how you think the two help each other.
As I think I've explained, I hope I have, they're not really inseparable. You know, I like to bring the way that, you know, my being into my life, you know, this, or, you know, our life, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I've got 4 children and a grandson who, you know, are a big part of my life.
I could be a right creep now and say you don't look old enough, can I? But no, I do mean it.
To begin with, I was a young man. And that's a big part of my life. I'm a musician, I'm a trumpet player, I love to make music, I sing. Recently, last year, I did the Messiah. I love classical music. My art is a massive part of my life. My spirituality, or whatever label you want to call it, my connection is really my life. My process is my life, actually. And, you know, my family and my friends, you know, and I'm not saying that there's one right way. There's so many ways that we can find our connection, I'm sure, you know, through music or art.
I'm sure, yeah.
You know, I love to create before I write poetry, I channel information. So, you know, when I say I write, you know, I can put my name on that because I was holding the pen, but in actual fact, you know, whose word is it?
Where does it come from?
You
Absolutely.
know, sometimes we know. Sometimes if we're working and we're channeling with a certain, you know, wise being that's been here before, for example, and they show us themselves in that respect, you know, I could put a name on that for, you know, as from them or for them. But, you know, working with presence itself, which is unnameable, you know, it's like, well, Claire, you know, you might as well put your name on that, really, because, you know, yours is not yours, mine is not mine.
No. We have many different theories on that way of thinking, but by giving the listeners an idea and listening to you, I'm sure that there'll be a lot of feedback from this, and giving people the understanding that they have the ability.
You know, we don't need to go and sit in church. We don't need to go in a spiritual centre. We you know, it's whatever excites us. What is it that floats our boat? What is it that drives us? You know, we're all very unique in that respect. For me, you know, it's writing, it's music, it's art, it's connection, it's, you know, working with people. It's not work. It's being. You know, it's a sense of being, and you know, that is my life. That is my life, and I've grown to love it very dearly, you know, and that has that's taken me until this moment, in this moment, to be able to fully say that with an open heart, you know, and things come in, you know, human life comes in, and it's about actually, rather than getting caught up in a reaction to that which is conditioned mind, it's about actually, let's just give this some time and space. Yeah. Time and space is of paramount it's value for me. And I believe that, you know, once we put time and space around something and truly embrace our humanistic self, actually, you know, for me, being able to do the work that I do on a psychic and medium and visionary level, I have needed to integrate my human life and my human self to enable me to not have those filters when working with or for other people in that respect. And I think, you know, coming to the conclusion that actually I am not perfect. I am whole. I am every emotion going. I am everything. I have the capacity to be angry or frustrated, or I have that ability within me. But owning that and truly, and it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
You know, it was said to me only a very short time ago. You know, we are every emotion going. Every emotion you can think of, we have within us. And in the middle of that, there's another little circle, and inside that, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay.
Well, time is getting on. And I did say to you it'd go very quickly. It has been a real pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
And listener, before I go, let me leave you with something that we've mentioned, that we are not perfect. But what is perfection? I always remember that when I was rock bottom, someone said to me, "You're normal." And that's the first time I've ever been called normal in my life. And I questioned what normality was. So, question, research, and find out for yourselves. Listen to that little voice that you may have inside you. We all have it. If you call it conscience, so be it. If you call it a higher self or intuitive self, or whatever you want to, so be it. But listen to it. It may be that little voice of reason. With Claire, you'll be able to find out a little bit more through her intuitive courses that she's doing. And I'm sure, as we said before, that we can pass on all the information that is needed to you.
Sure.
You'll be able to view this on my Universal Energies page, and on Claire's, and on Felixstowe YouTube later on. But for now, I have to say thank you so much, Claire. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.